Dude, so I was just reading about the Higgs boson, or the quote-unquote God particle, as they call it, and it kind of makes sense. It's crazy. So the Higgs boson never really exists is one thing. Like, it does exist for a second, for a fucking second, and then it falls apart immediately, and it creates symmetry when it's there, and when it falls apart, apparently it falls apart simultaneously, right? So it's not like one little piece falls apart or anything. It all goes apart, right? And when it goes apart, they said that it's responsible for giving things mass. Interesting, right? Mass, thingsy, reality, right? And it's related to the magnetic field. So the magnetic field has particles as photons, right? And it can create light. That's like why light exists, part of it. And I guess it's going between those two states, right? So it's like symmetry, random chaos, right? And then at the same time, that, like, in my opinion, that's like a pulsing, like it has states or phases, right? Wouldn't it have a phase where it's like a Higgs boson, broken Higgs boson, that's everything? Because they said it, so it permeates the Higgs fields, which is everything. Again, that's related to the magnetic field, they said, and light. So that was interesting to me. So it has to do with like mass and being able to see mass, right? I mean, we need eyes to see mass, but that's beyond what, even if we weren't here. And then the other parts of it were how it's pulsing. Okay, so if this particle apparently gives things mass, couldn't that mean that if, so it has zero spin, that's the other thing. It's the only thing that has zero spin, meaning that that particle just literally sits still when it's there, the Higgs boson, or the God particle. It just sits still before it simultaneously and almost immediately continues to fall apart. Now, I know the way they describe it is like it's only in this hadron collider at CERN. But I was just thinking about maybe that's only like where they're able to witness and perceive it, right? Because most commonly, if it always immediately shatters, I don't know. I'm convinced there are like random God particles everywhere. If it's everywhere, and the Higgs field is everywhere, then that's what creates reality. Because there would be so there'd be three parts. This is my theory. There'd be the fact that it creates mass, right? This is how reality exists, okay? In quantum physics terms, but really it's just like stuff exists, right? Because it's actually simple, in my opinion, because it gives things mass and makes them exist. It gives things time, because if all of the particles are pulsing almost, if it would always be in that zero spin mode that it needs to be in to create symmetry, to have symmetry, then, which I think is imperative to like structure it all in this universe, then that would sort of create time, because without that movement, we would just be at a standstill, or it'd be chaos, either or. But time is neither of that. Time is chaotic standstill, right? Like, I'm going to change over time, but I'm not going to shatter like this boson does. And neither are you, hopefully. So that's the second part, matter, time, and then the other part, space. And I kept reading about it, and I was like, well, if it's a magnetic field sort of kind of too, or it like interacts with the magnetic field, which is everywhere, and the Higgs field is everywhere, and without this particle, or the perception of all particles in this particle coming together, falling apart as they need to for things to exist, that would be space, because if the particle didn't move and nothing was ever perceiving movement, and it was like absolute zero, and there was no light because there was never movement that helps create that magnetic field, and it was never moving to create mass, right? Then there'd be no space. I'm done. Okay, bye.